GameStop may still be around, but for how much longer? Also, how has the decline of physical games changed the way we play? Let's find out. It's time for another episode of Pixel Realms. Welcome to Pixel Realms, a podcast all about gaming and entertainment. Please leave us a like and subscribe for more content. And let's jump right into our first topic. Episode 27, Brick and Mortar Stores. Joe, we got news to start off with?
Oh yeah, so this is, normally you handle, I think, the news, but in this case, there's not a whole lot going on in the world of gaming and entertainment, at least anything beneficial for our episode here, but either way, so this episode's going to be coming out on, what is it, May 5th? Yeah, no, May 6th, so it's going to be a little bit behind, but recently, Revenge of the Sith, the Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, Episode 3, was re-released in theaters, and surprisingly, it made $42 million globally, which is an incredible amount of money for a movie that's been out for a very long time. And I think that just shows the passion that a lot of Star Wars people have for the series. I went to go see it with my wife, so we spent whatever, $10 on the ticket itself, and then, $50,000 on popcorn and drinks. But half of that 42 was the U.S. public. So pretty impressive, considering some movies, brand spanking new, from indie developers or indie studios and whatnot, don't even hit close to $42 million. So that shows something interesting. And then EA, which we haven't ranted too much about EA because they're an interesting company. We're not going to dive into it too much in this news article, but Titanfall 2 came out a few years back, and it was the successor, of course, of Titanfall 1, which is a very good game. Both were very fun. The first one, though, was, I think, all exclusively multiplayer, where the second one introduced a story element to it, along with co-op and multiplayer, etc., and was superior to the first one. Well, they announced they were doing a Titanfall 3 at some point, and then they recently announced they canceled it. So,
of course they did.
Yeah. And along with that, they're also laying off between 300 and 400 employees from their studios. So
I know about layoffs.
Ubisoft, EA, it's interesting that the Titanfall, the Titans of gaming seem to be struggling. And they have the biggest IPs. We've talked about it before with, Warner Brothers having Superman and Batman. How can they fail at making these games? But EA has, they have the Tony Hawk series. They have the Need for Speed series. They have all the sporting series. Ubi has, Star Wars. Well, I guess they both have Star Wars now. But Ubi has The Division. They have the Rainbow Six stuff, How can either one of these studios... Assassin's Creed. How can either one of these studios fail? EA has The Sims, for Christ's sake, which I don't know. I don't think it's as relevant today as it used to be. But
I think you'd be surprised. The Sims fans are pretty hardcore.
That's true. It's also available on Steam as well. They brought over their stuff, which I love seeing that full circle. Hey, we're going to make our own little online store. And they all do it. And then guess what? They eventually start all slowly kind of crawling back to Steam, being like, all right, y'all won.
Yeah.
Which I don't like monopoly by any means, because Steam obviously does monopolize the market of PC gaming, no doubt. But they're also not pricks about it.
Yeah, I guess I'm weird in that sense that I kind of almost prefer it, because I hate having to go to multiple places. It's like with streaming. I hate having to go, if you look at most people with their streaming services, I can tell you alone, I have Netflix because my wife loves Netflix. I have Crunchyroll because we're anime people. We have Peacock. We have Hulu right now. And then there's Paramount and Disney and Timbuktu and Wallamaloo and whatever other companies that stream and have that one TV show that someone wants or whatever.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm with you. Having it all one location is great, and that's what Steam does. But what Steam does that these other companies don't do is they don't take advantage of the consumers. They could jack up the prices like, Netflix has done again, like HBO Max has done again, like like all these companies do every
Oh
single
yeah.
year. Steam doesn't
Netflix
do
is
that.
Netflix is real bad. Netflix is I remember 2-3 months ago I was paying 17 and change for Netflix, and then the last 2 months I've been paying 20 something. So they're just it almost feels like they're just casually raising the prices because they can.
Oh yeah. Like
But
and think about like Steam could easily throw out a subscription-based service. They could easily do that with their cloud saving and all the other crap they have in the background. They could easily do that, but they don't. And they won't unless someone else buys them. But let's hope that never ever happens.
so Joe, brick and mortar stores. I don't know about you, but it was interesting. When I was younger, it wasn't even about having money because I was a kid. I didn't have a lot of money. It was just fun to go into the store and just see the different games. They had merchandise. All those type of stores have merchandise, but it
Yeah.
really wasn't about that kind of merchandise. It was about browsing the games.
The experience.
Yeah, like Nintendo, Sega, etc. And then obviously eventually into PlayStation, and now it's like PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo. I don't know when the last time you went into a GameStop is.
Mm,
I go into a GameStop every now and then now because I'm a toy collector as well, and they actually do a relatively decent job of stocking Transformers, which is one of the things that I'm collecting. And most of the store, I'd say half of most of the stores now are collectibles. The game sections have gotten smaller. They're still there, but they've gotten smaller, and it's more stuff.
yeah.
They've got most of the GameStops have a whole Funko Pop freaking wall of those ugly, soulless creatures. Um, they've got like a t-shirt stand. They've got or a cubicle or whatever you want to call it. They've got the whole back wall of one side with trading card game stuff, especially now that they take graded cards that you can trade. Like if you've spent the money to send off a card to be graded, they'll take that. And then it goes into different figures like Transformers, Star Wars collectible figures, and some of the main collectible stuff that you see out there. And then it goes into I forget what the next little section is, but then there's like a wall with plushies, like Sanrio characters, your Pokemon plushies, your Mario. And then again, you'll turn into like with at least one of my stores, it'll turn into like Funko Pops. And then the next section might be like PC peripherals and accessories. And then you'll get into like Xbox, and then Xbox accessories, and then PlayStation accessories. So it's very interesting that the change to the kind of the brick and mortar store like GameStop.
I haven't been to a GameStop in 5 years, over 5 years now. And I've been into a Best Buy twice in the past 5 years. That just shows you how much I actually go into stores now. If I want something, I've been into a Lego store twice in 2 years as well.
Well,
But
they're gonna have Lego
yeah,
anyway. With Best Buy, I know because I used to work there. Best Buy used to be their gaming section. Used to be all games, and then they'd have one like set of aisles that you would walk down that would have your collectible stuff, whether it be Legos, collectible figures, whatever. But then everything else was games, gaming accessories. They'd have multiple aisles or at least multiple shelves of Xbox or PlayStation or whatever. Now it's not like that. It's very much like a Target, where it's like you have maybe like one little strip that has like your featured Xbox games, maybe the like sample console type thing, or like a video running, and then the same thing with PlayStation, the same thing with Nintendo, and then it's all It's all collectibles. It's all collectibles. I'm talking figurines, collectible figures, action figures, two rows of or two sections for Legos. It's like, what the hell? We're a toy store now.
Well, Toys R Us went under, so Best Buy just adapted to that. And
It's just funny because physical toys are down, in my opinion. You don't see, physical toys, even like all these stores like Walmart and Target, the big, the bigger ones, not what we would consider brick and mortar, the department stores. They have big toy aisles, but like the action figure section, I feel like is fairly small in the overall. Like, there's the kids' toys, like the little children, like toddlers, boy and girl, because they have to separate it for whatever reason. And then you have a pretty decent Lego section, and there's a Nerf section, and then Hot Wheels have always been a thing, like all of that. And then you might have like one major section for action figures, and it's not even like about like action figures. It's just, I don't know, man. It's kind of a trip going into some of these smaller stores like a GameStop now.
Well, I think what has changed is digital and
Yeah,
younger.
decline of physical media.
Yeah, but even to the extent of, okay, when we were growing up, we would play with our action figures.
Yes,
right?
and we had tangible things. It's almost like an elimination of imagination.
Oh yeah.
Where
So my wife says that all the time about me, and so it must have been around the time of our upbringing, because she still had an imagination. She's a few years younger than I am, but there definitely was a difference between the two of us. But I felt like as a child, I had a hell of an imagination. I could do whatever the hell I want, think about whatever I want. If I'm riding a bike, I could be whatever I want as I'm biking. If I'm out shooting ball, like I could be whatever athlete I could imagine in my head. And now it's like kids need to throw on a VR headset to have that imagination. Kids need to see it on the screen to have the AR show them that their Hot Wheels are flying over a car.
Yeah, I agree. Because I was gonna say that maybe it's like with us, it's age, because I definitely have noticed like my imagination, my creativity has gone down with time, but it's still there. And I know there's like an actual medical term for something like similar to it, where it's like someone that has like a lack of either imagination or at least a lack of visualization in their head of being able to visualize those kind of things. And I don't know if they run in tandem, but yeah, no.
I got a coworker that has that issue actually. He doesn't visualize things.
Yeah, and it's a very real thing, but it really does feel like this day and age, a lot of kids are like that. Like, not everyone. Like, I'd say my two kids are decently okay at it. I don't know about my oldest as much as my youngest, but my youngest is also a little bit on the spectrum, so maybe his mind works differently. So I don't know. I don't know if it's just technology that's done this, or maybe it's the generations of like parenting changes, or what, but like just a lack of overall imagination, which has kind of led to a lack of, I think that's why there's kind of like a lack of physical stock in both, not just in media, not just in video games, but like, in toys or whatever, because you don't see kids outside as much anymore. I can't tell you the last time I saw a kid outside with a toy. Like, if they're outside.
Oh yeah, no. I'll see them with a soccer ball, basketball, biking,
Yeah,
the basic stuff still, but never seen
Exactly.
anyone out there with their GI Joes or, Transformers, where the hell it'd be.
I remember before I knew anything about collector's items, and I'm talking about when I was a kid, like 5, 6, and I remember I had a little area almost a little too close to the road. There was like a little ditch, like a dirt patch, like just a little ditch area, and I took my some of my Transformers. They had a group of bad guys called the Constructicons, so they were like construction equipment, like bulldozers and that kind of thing. I legitimately remember having a couple of those figures out there by this little dirt ditch next to my mailbox, which was close to the road, and digging, kind of doing this little digging thing, and yeah, and you just don't see that anymore.
Well, okay, so so physical everything has been dying. You think of
Yeah.
J.C. Penney's, Sears, Kmart, all on the exit or have been exiting. And we think of the Best Buy stores, which at one point Best Buy was
Movies,
growing.
music.
They were huge, yeah. And
Yeah.
there used to be Best Buy mobile stores, just smaller stores that sold mobile phones. And all of those, I think for the most part, are probably all gone, with the exception of maybe a handful. And a lot of Best Buy stores have closed down. We've talked about it
Mm-hmm.
on the last episode. GameStop stores have been declining. EB Games, which used to be a huge deal. And what's the other was it
KB
KB?
Toys.
KB Toys, yeah.
KB Toys. Yes.
Long gone, And so
Oh
all
yeah.
of these things, which used to be massive, successful adventures to go to as a child, are long gone. And I don't think there's one thing to blame it on individually. I think it's a bunch of things that
Mm,
happened to them. One of those could be Amazon, because
that's true.
you can go right on Amazon.com and buy anything your heart desires and have it shipped to you a lot of times next day or even same day, depending on what time you order it. And
Yeah.
you know, I'm guilty of it myself. I could go down the road to Target and grab it, or I can just order on Amazon, have it delivered either later on today or tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I think
And that was
it's
before. That was before they started allowing third parties, which that's a whole different
oh yeah,
subject
whole
for an
different.
episode down the road. But and the
Yeah.
decline of that stuff. I hate the fact that they let third parties sell on there now.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Um,
I agree.
but yeah, Amazon, I think definitely is, for better or for worse, something the part to blame of it. And I'm sure that the pandemic probably lended its hands
I think
in
yeah,
burying.
the pandemic was the last straw. That was kind of the end of it. That tipped it all. They did their best to survive, where you could get it brought out to your vehicle. You didn't have to go into the store. But
Mhm.
a lot of I think of gas stations. Gas stations don't make money off your gas. It's bare minimum. It's like 2 cents or 3 cents per gallon they make off your gas. They make their money off you going into the store, buying snacks and drinks or whatever it be, and
Oh
walking
yeah.
out with that. That's how they survive as an industry. And I also believe that's how Best Buy and GameStop, etc., survived in the past, which is you go in there for that game, but you're also, oh crap, they got this new controller. I like to get that, or this new Funko Pop over here, or they have the sticker here, or the
Mhm.
memberships, and whatever it be, all the little add-ons that they tack on. Best Buy, you're
That's
walking through the aisle and to check out, and you have all the candies and snacks, and you have all the whatever lanyards or whatever else they have there that catches your eye, and a handful of people will buy that, and that's more free revenue for that company.
Yeah, because they get those at more of a discount cost. The
Hmm.
I could tell you again, just from my years of working retail, that outside of having their rebranded stock that goes by their store brand, for Best Buy, for example, it's Insignia.
Hmm.
Well, Insignia is just example for a TV. If you buy Insignia TV, chances are it's a Samsung TV
Oh
or
yeah,
an LG.
it's all the
Same
same
thing with
screens. Yeah.
same thing if you go to the appliance section and you buy a refrigerator, and you could buy that Samsung refrigerator for $1,000, or you can buy the Insignia one for 800 and something dollars, but they're the same fucking refrigerator,
Yeah.
because it's just that Samsung made, say, 10,000 of this refrigerator, but only 5,000 of them sold. And Best Buy is like, hey, we'll take that other 5,000 off of you at a discounted price.
Yeah.
And that's where they make their money. That's why, like, if you're a Best Buy employee, for example, you get a massive discount on insignia branded stuff because Best Buy's not losing any money on that stuff. And why you also will not see, for example, you won't get like a discount on if you want to say buy an Xbox and you're a Best Buy employee, you're paying retail price. Maybe minus tax. I think employee discount will at least maybe eat the tax for you, but that's it. Because Best Buy doesn't make any money off them.
Yeah,
and that's how retail works in general.
Oh yeah, $1,000,000,000%. They didn't make money off the physical games. They made money off the GameStop membership, the Best Buy membership.
Controllers, all accessories, etc. They made their money off of that. But if you bought a console or a game, Best Buy wasn't making the money.
Think about like Target. They have the red card. I'm not talking about the credit card, but the red card. They don't make money off it per se. They make money off of the advertisement that they can sell, to the other people. Being like, hey, Bob buys all this crap. Send him this in the mail because that's what he's going to buy next, and give him a discount so he'll buy it. I remember reading an article. This was a couple years back as well. Reading an article because a father was suing Target because his daughter, who was like 15 or something like that, got a piece of mail from Target that said, "Congratulations on your baby. Here's recommendations for your baby shower." And he talked to his daughter like, "What the hell? Are you pregnant?" She denied the whole thing. She never was pregnant. Years later, she never was pregnant. Nothing ever happened. But because she had bought a couple things, the Target algorithm thought she was pregnant and sent this to the advertisers, who then sent out her this paperwork.
That's funny. That's terrifying, but also funny.
So think about, in Google, the same thing. When you search anything on Google, like they're getting advertisement information off that, and whether or not they use it themselves or they send it to a third party, that's where your free search comes from. Nothing's free in this world. You're paying for something in some form or fashion. It may not be monetary, but in some form or fashion you are. And that's a lot of what the the store stuff has lost is the traffic walking in there. You'd be able to I remember going to Best Buys, and every department had some person walking around there to help assist people with questions.
Oh, yeah, forget that.
That's long gone now.
I can tell you from personal experience and from the fact that my roommate works at Best Buy, and there's so many times he'll tell me how, like, he and maybe one other person will be in computers for most of the day by himself, to the point where he'll call for backup to the walkie-in. They'll essentially tell him to go fuck himself, so.
And they used to be knowledgeable. They used to be actual knowledgeable with everything they had. They have whatever 15 different computers. They could tell you what was beneficial for you versus just the generic script that Best Buy gives them. They don't.
Part of it, though, I think part of that, though, is also the fact that a lot of those type of jobs now are basically jobs for the 18 to 20 something year old person who's just looking for a side job. They're not looking for a career, and the pay shows it, though, because I could again, another personal experience. You get hired at Best Buy now. It wasn't that way when I worked there, but now you start at $15 an hour. Most employees top out at 17, meaning you get no yearly raise, you get nothing. You stay at $17 an hour unless you become management. You do not make any extra money. Yeah, $17 an hour. You can't even remotely live in Florida off of $17 an hour. Maybe if you had a house full of 4 or 5, maybe 6 people, all making $17 an hour full time, maybe you could live off of it, but not 1 or 2 people. But hey, pre-order exclusives and bonuses and etc. like they still offer that stuff as physical and digital media, but
Well, and
GameStop, especially.
That's the other thing that's interesting. So we bring up pre-order bonuses and exclusives. Okay, so people know who've listened to this podcast long enough that I do Flight Sim. Flight Sim 2024 launched in November, and directly from Microsoft, you could buy the Aviators Edition, which came with a bag and it came with some steel something. Came with all this other crap. I didn't buy
Joe
it.
bought it.
No, I did not. It was like
Joe bought it.
200 bucks, but you can buy it directly from Microsoft. And that was the only way to buy it. Actually, in the US, that was the only way to buy it. In Europe, it was through another company, a third party, but directly through them.
Yeah.
And that means they got rid of all the middle ground stuff. They got rid of the GameStop, Best Buys, all that stuff. They said, hey, just if you want it, come through us.
I just realized there's something funny about like pre-order bonuses as exclusives to me in that so there's physical media still for some things. We talk a lot about games and console games, for example. You can usually still get like a pre-order like extra item sometimes on something, or like a collector's edition, right? Or some kind of like store exclusive. For Best Buy, it used to be Steelbook Blu-ray casings for your fancy case for your Blu-ray
like
that
you
ordered. Yeah. But games, you get collector's editions. Sometimes they come with statues and whatever. I've noticed, especially because maybe because of the nature of PC gaming, you can't get it. You can't get, and you can't get it, or if you can get it, you can't get it easily. A physical piece of media from a pre-order of a PC game.
Yeah.
You could do others, but not that. Yeah, it's
Yeah, I think PC gamers though have always been different. I don't know, and I don't understand why or how, but PC gamers just seem to always be. Obviously, there's the ones that overlap. There are PC gamers who are also console gamers, and there's no right or wrong with any of it. You just whatever you want to play with however you want. But I always feel like PC gamers have cared more just about the game itself and not about the extra stuff with it. Whereas console gamers are more proud to showcase what they have. They have this cool console, they have, the cool steel book, they have the cool poster in the background. Think about like the 80s and 90s. You'd have your Super Nintendo, and then behind the TV you have this cool Mario poster and the Mario figures on the side of it. PC gamers would have this elaborate setup, 2 screens, and they have their cool keyboard and mouse and their high-end PC. The PC gamers are just different. They put the money into the system more than they put the money into the accessories for a title, I think. It's probably just how it is and how it's going to always be. But one thing where these brick and mortar stores still survive is trade-ins. And definitely. It's not just GameStop, because Best Buy offers trade-ins as well. You could trade in, what was it I was looking at something not too long ago on Best Buy's website where I could bring in something and trade it in. Oh, it was headphones. This was like a year ago, and I was looking at getting different headphones. If you brought in your headphones, and as long as they're in working condition, you can get 20% off. And this was a deal I had, 20% off a Logitech headset, which is awesome because that's a big deal for a headset that costs, $150, $200. 20% off is a great deal.
Yeah.
And like GameStop has the consoles and has the games, and Best Buy has it as well.
Yeah. It's really weird in that regard. Like, I guess because we've been PC gamers for so long that it's not really about a lot of that stuff. But so obviously you don't have a trade in. It's just funny because like it's really hard. Imagine trying to be a collector and still be a PC gamer. Because you used to back in the day, you get the big box that really only had like a CD in it and some stuff, but like, you had that physical piece of thing to put on your shelf to say, "Hey, I own this." And now, like, that doesn't really exist, and I wonder how that affected PC gamers that actually collected.
Well, think about this. Like, you could buy a Switch game, a physical Switch game, and not even have a cartridge inside there. It's a
Yeah.
code. It's a digital code.
Yep.
You have a
Switch
physical
2,
piece of
baby.
plastic, a piece of plastic with paper that you have a digital code for.
Although, no, that's with Switch 2, you're gonna get a cartridge that's gonna give you a code. But yeah, and I've kind of definitely went that route because of the changes like that, and maybe because I'm a PC gamer. So, what little bit of console gaming I did do, I went over to digital, and I can tell you right now on my Switch, we don't own a single physical game here at the house. Every game that we own on the Switch is digital. So that
I
way,
think I have 2 or 3. Odyssey and, I don't know, 2 other ones. Just because they were on
yeah,
sale, I think.
yeah, it's just so much easier for me as someone who doesn't like having physical media laying around for certain things. It kind of boils back to like the past when I would get kind of not trigger happy, but trade in happy. Where
Yeah.
it's like,
I'm guilty
well,
of it too.
where it's like, okay, I played this game and whatever. I'll probably never want to play this game again. It's just sitting here collecting dust. Trade it in, and then 9 times out of 10, I don't know about you, Joe, but like, give it 6 to 8 months, maybe 9 months after you've traded in that game, you get the itch. Like, I kind of want to play that game again.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know how many times I traded
Oh,
in a
I
game
traded
and
it.
rebought it?
Too much to mention for me. It's embarrassing of the amount of money I wasted on just rebuying a game.
So I don't remember if we've done an episode yet on digital versus physical, or if it's on the list of things, but so here's something I find interesting. So you have the people that are pro digital and you have the people that are pro physical. And neither
Mm-hmm.
one is wrong because it just depends on your own personal preference. If you like, so, okay, here's where I'm going with this. There was recently at least 2 different DVD, and I'm talking DVD, not Blu-ray, but DVD discs that over time started to have issues because they weren't coded or something. I don't remember the exact details of it, but they weren't coded, fine coded, and eventually it started the way that the discs were read started not working properly, and those discs you just can't play the movie anymore. And it's almost like it's no different than a digital anything. If a company goes under where all your digital movies are, well, you don't have access to those movies no more. It's long gone,
Yeah,
right?
true. That's very true.
So we expect these discs to last forever, but they
But
may
they
not.
don't.
And this, I think, it was a Warner Brothers media. I don't remember what movie it was, but it was a Warner Brothers disc, I believe. But thankfully, they were cool enough and said, "Hey, if this is an issue you're experiencing, let us know. We'll send you a new copy of it that doesn't have this issue." Doesn't mean it's going to not have this issue again in 10 years, but either way. But so we think that physical is going to be there forever, and that's not always the case. As technology's evolved, we don't know how long these things are going to last. We hope they
Yeah.
last as long as VHSs, which will last a test of times, and cassette tapes, which will last a cassette time, will last time.
Yeah. Because don't
DVDs
worry
and
though, Joe.
Blu-rays, who knows?
Eventually, we'll just scan it all into our heads with our barcode that we'll have applied to the back of our necks.
Yeah.
And then you buy a movie, and then they scan the barcode on the back of your neck, and then it just downloads directly into your brain, and that's how you'll watch all your movies and listen to all your music. You won't even need a headset anymore. It'll just be all in your brain
Okay.
when they put that chip in and everything. Yeah.
This is probably more to you because you're more of the people person, a lot more of the people person than I am. Game
Yay.
launches. you probably went to many midnight launches.
I didn't go. You'd be surprised. I didn't go to many, but not because I didn't want to. It was more because by that time I was working and working retail. Usually there was a lot of nights where I'd be going to work at 2 in the morning, 4 in the morning, and baby needed sleep.
Okay. I
But
remember I didn't go to
I've
many,
gone to quite a few.
like 2 or 3 maybe in my life. But I remember there was a game that launched the same day of Call of Duty,
Hmm.
and my friend and I went to the Best Buy, or not Best Buy, GameStop, and there was a line of maybe 50 people. And out of that 50 people, I'm listening. Obviously, couldn't hear from the very front of it, but I'm listening as much as I can. It's Call of Duty, Call of Duty, Call of Duty, and then there was like one or two, including me, that was that was there for that other game, and I thought it was hilarious that how it all worked out there. Because my friend, he bought the Call of Duty, and I bought the other game, and then
So
go ahead.
they don't do that much anymore. They still have midnight releases, just not as many. It's almost non-existent. It feels like, but it's been a while since they've done like a multiple game release that wasn't a console release on a
Yeah,
as a midnight release. Usually when they're doing a midnight release, it is a singular game or singular event, whether it be at least in GameStops. Um, as the example, since they do Pokemon cards, there'll be like a Pokemon card drop, and people wait out there for that. But yeah, it's with launch things. They had various degrees of fun. Like I remember going to the Switch release, and they were doing trivia and they were playing music, and there was just little small little events, and then you were meeting other people that were excited about the Switch, and you'd be like, "Hey, you're here to get the Switch? Yeah, you here to get the Switch? What are you grabbing? I'm picking up. Obviously, I'm picking up the new Zelda." Or I'll be like, "Yeah, I'm picking up Zelda, but I'm grabbing this game." And then it was a good way of what is it called? It's called networking online now, right? Like
yeah,
through Twitter and whatever. It was kind of like social networking, and which is a very um, ancient thing now. You don't really do the social networking as much as you do just online networking, which is a shame. But yeah, it also is definitely for the extroverts like myself, where I don't mind kind of jumping in on a conversation. Sometimes I'll do it, whether you think it's good or not. Whether some people might even call it rude. Uh, if you're standing in line, and sometimes you'll hear a conversation, not even because you're trying to eavesdrop. It's just that whether you're behind them and you hear them talking about something, because even just their normal tone is louder or whatever, and then I get the urge sometimes to interject my 2 cents into the conversation, and most times people are receptive of it because they're getting an outside opinion on something that they're similarly invested in or dealing with. But you do every now and then get the people where it's just like, oh, this motherfucker was listening to me. But that's kind of that's what being an extrovert's about, is sometimes you get the people that are like, oh yeah, and you engage in the conversation. I'll use the Switch 2 pre-orders as an example. I got there right before they opened, and I knew from just doing my research that I was not going to be getting a Switch 2 because I was too late to the party when I showed up. Like if I really wanted one, I would have shown up at least 2-3 hours earlier, and then I got in line. I could have at least gotten maybe one. But knowing that, I still got in line, not because I was expecting to get one, but because I was able to like listen / socialize with the people around me to get their thoughts on this whole thing, the issues that they're dealing with, maybe trying to get one or going through other media, other sources to try and get one because they know they're not going to get one there, etc. So like there was almost like a a bit of journalism in a weird way of like you're picking up from the actual people around you. Like, oh man, I can't believe they're doing it this way, or yeah, my friends, at this other GameStop and they're only got this and that. Like, so you're hearing things and you're able to add in your 2 cents, and it's a lost art because this kind of thing is dying. The physical, the retail, the well, not the retail, but the brick and mortar, the more smaller compact stores that have like their niche thing is dying out a little more. So you're kind of missing that level of like, yeah, what do you think of this? Well, yeah, what do you think of this? I'm going through this right now because I'm trying to get this thing and blah blah blah. So there's a lot lost in the conversion from physical to digital.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see how it went from games and consoles primarily being a launch event to CPUs and GPUs.
Yeah.
Such
Yeah.
a weird, never in my wildest dreams would I have thought I would ever be in line, and I haven't been in line for any of this, but for a GPU or a CPU launch. Never. And I never will.
Yeah. Never will either.
It's crazy, like people, and it's cool to see this though. There are still people that if there's a big like a big concert or something like that, to get tickets, they'll stand in line at whatever place it is, or they stand in line when something starts.
The CPU and GPU. The only thing that I don't like about that kind of thing too, though, is that I feel like, so gaming, it makes sense to be in line for a launch of a game and whatnot. The stuff like the CPU and GPU thing, the problem I have with that is that I don't think people are in line for the CPU and GPU because they want the CPU and GPU. A lot of that now is resellers.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Working at Best Buy, I could tell you right now, you think they wouldn't sell well, but you'd be wrong when you get like Best Buy would have that massive sale on that $350 piece of shit laptop that people were, and it's on sale for $300 or whatever, and you'd have people coming in buying like 10, 15, 20 at a time.
Yeah.
Because they go home and then they take it to their website and or eBay and they resell it for their profit. If it's a $350 laptop that you got on sale for $300, well, they mark it up to $400 and they make that plus shipping, and they make that profit or whatever prices they can get for it. And so I think it also depends on the physical media that like it's kind of lost in that you've got scalpers and resellers to deal with now. It's not about getting it into the hands of the people who actually want it and deserve it. It's just about making the money and selling it.
Which is crazy to think that like these companies know, Nvidia, AMD, Intel, they all know their thing's going to sell.
Yep.
They know this. And
absolutely,
they consistently say, oh, scalping's bad. And they're trying to find ways of avoiding it to happen, especially digitally on when you order. But are they really? Because they could just make more, push back the launch date, or they know what their launch date's going to be before they say anything about their launch date, make enough so that there is no scalping. I don't understand the concept. And we're going to see the same thing with the Switch too. Nintendo's had this date going on forever. Yeah, exactly.
Go to eBay right now.
Yeah.
There's people already selling their confirmed pre-order.
Yeah, I'd say they don't even have it in their hands yet.
Nope.
And even Nintendo said that even though it's confirmed, it doesn't mean you're actually going to get it on launch day.
Yep.
It just means eventually you'll get one. So like,
it's just funny because Nintendo said that they made plenty. Remember?
Yeah. They all these companies have said they made plenty, and they actually don't. Yeah. And imagine going to McDonald's to get the $5 meal deal, and finding out that we don't have any in stock.
Yeah.
Like, okay, occasionally, the ice cream machine's broken, or occasionally you have to wait because they have to make the chicken nuggets or something, right? You have to, sometimes you have to do these kind of waits, but imagine just going there and be like, oh no, we don't have that. Sorry. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No.
You can pre-order it though.
Yeah, you can pre-order. You can pre-order your $5 meal, and we'll have it ready for you tomorrow.
Your chicken nuggets. Yeah, well, pre-order your chicken nuggets. We are unclucking it now.
We're unclucking the chickens now.
Or maybe you want to overcluck it.
You want an overclocked chicken nugget?
Yep.
Oh my gosh. The way we are going in society is just awful. It's terrible. And there's never going to be a fix because corporations greedy. We've said it a billion times in our podcasts. And, the best we can do as consumers is one, just not buy it. Mark said he's buying the Switch 2 at some point in his life. So when the Switch 3 is about to come out, he'll probably buy a Switch 2. And, I'm interested in like the new Mario Kart game.
Discount.
Yeah, I'm interested in the Mario Kart game. And, I will eventually buy a Switch 2. It's not going to be anytime soon. I bought the Switch 1, 2 years after it came out, or a year and a half, or sometime around that time. It was still difficult to get because of COVID, but I had bought it eventually. And it's going to be the same with Switch 2.
The Switch 2, I'm just going to wait till Christmas time until they put out their Mario Kart bundle that they said that was like a rare thing, a
You're not
thing.
getting it during Christmas either.
And then they'll magically like be a ton of those bundles again during Christmas time because it'll be a Christmas bundle.
Yeah.
Wink, wink.
Yeah,
they do it every year with regular Switch, where year round you can't get the Mario Kart bundle, but Christmas time,
all of a sudden,
the Switch goes on sale with Mario Kart every year.
It's just it's crazy to think
Marketing.
where we are. Yeah. Well, Mark, anything else to add to this episode?
No. This one was, I don't want to say it was a downer. It's just kind of like, it's the one thing I've always been told when I worked at my job, because I'm a realist. I deal with like the reality of things, and I would be told so many times that managers would be like, "Well, you're too pessimistic," and I'm like, "No, I'm being a realist. If being a realist means I'm pessimistic, then that's just the way the world is."
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it is.
With topics like this, for sure. Like there's no changing the trend. It's not going to happen. It's the way society has been going. We've seen it. The writing has been on the walls for decades, and we're now just here.
It's up to you, the person, to decide whether where it goes. If you just consume, I want this, I buy this, and not take any thought into why you're buying it. Do you need it compared to do you want it? A lot of the times we're needy people. We buy it because we buy it because we want it even though we don't need it. And that's why these companies make so much money and they can do what they want, because it's like, we'll just put out iPhone 72 and people will buy it. Oh, but I just bought the iPhone 71, but I gotta have the iPhone 72.
Oh yeah, exactly. Well, as always, thanks everyone for listening and watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Yep, bye-bye.